Geeks for Geeks has a challenge for you, the 390 challenge. Choose what you want to learn in 2024 and aim to complete at least 90% of the course in the next 90 days. And if you do that, you get back 90% of what you paid for the course. We believe you can do that. Now all you got to do is commit to your success, commit with Geeks for Geeks. And aim to complete at least 90% of the course in the next 90 days.
Hello. Okay, guys, we are live. So, hello everyone. I'm Viraj Jain, your mentor at Geeks for Geeks, and today we're gonna start with our new session of TypeScript functions and alias. So till now we have covered a lot of things in TypeScript, all the basics and all the important stuff in TypeScript. But I think we needed a good discussion for functions so that you know how we can just write functions in separate ways. Then we have generic types, then we have unions, interactions, intersections. I'm sorry. So these are some things which we need to discuss today, right? So before that, guys, let's talk about Geeks for Geeks 90 days challenge. So I think a lot of you might know about this, but let me just repeat this. So Geeks for Geeks has bought a very great opportunity for you all. So if any one of you purchases our courses in the month of January and finish 90% of the course within 90 days, that means 3 months, around 3 months. So if you finish 90% of the course in 90 days, so you would get 90% of your course amount refunded, right? So that's a very great opportunity, and I think this would be the best motivation for someone who is lazy enough and who is in guilt that I have paid for this course and now I'm not able to complete this, and also I'm not able to get that money back. So this is a very great opportunity, right? And I have purchased myself. I have also purchased a lot of courses which I am not able to finish till now. They are still there, purchased forever, but still I haven't finished them. So this we need some kind of kickstart. So it's a very good motivation that we need to finish the course somehow in 90 days so that we get some amount refunded, right? So definitely you can participate, but yeah, you must purchase the course only in the month of January. If you purchase after that, you won't get this opportunity. So try to do that before, but yeah, if you do after that, then there are some more upcoming opportunities, so you can participate in that in the next month, right? So guys, now let's continue. Until now what we have done is we have covered all the basics. If you want to get the source code, what you would do is you just need to type github.com/viraj014. Just visit my GitHub profile, and here you can go to the repositories. In the repositories you would find TypeScript nextjs gfg. Okay, so this is the nextjs repository which I'm talking about, and TypeScript repository which I'm talking about. If you visit this, you'll get the complete source code of all the previous classes, and today's source code would also be uploaded here. Okay, so I think this is the second last session of TypeScript. After that we would be covering one more session, that is on oops, object oriented programming in TypeScript. Then it would be done completely, TypeScript would be completed. Now what would be done after TypeScript? So we are actually bringing Next.js sessions on the same playlist, so you can check the Geeks for Geeks development channel. We have this playlist for TypeScript. In the same playlist we are going to uh, bring Next.js videos. Okay, so you can watch Next.js after this, because TypeScript would be majorly used in Next.js or in some other JavaScript frameworks or libraries. Okay, so that's why TypeScript was important, and we have covered that. Now we're going to cover Next.js after the next video. Okay, that means next video would be of oops. After that we are going to start with Next.js. So Next.js is very important for front end, and right now it's trending in Stack. That's why we are learning Next.js in the upcoming videos, right? So once we complete Next.js in next 5-6 videos, then what we are going to do is we are going to jump to our projects in Stack. So we are going to build one Stack project, and we are going to build two front-end based projects. So overall we are going to build three projects after this, right? So this was it. So guys, this would be the complete roadmap. After, like, I would say around 8 more sessions would be there, 8-9 sessions would be there, and then we would cover some projects as well as this Next.js videos. After that you can give me more suggestion about different platforms which you like skills which you like. I'm actually planning to build Rust projects, okay, because Rust is right now trending, and I'm also learning and I've implemented Rust in a lot of places. So I think I must teach Rust to you all guys, although it's not used very much widely in different areas, but still it's in trend, so that's why I think I must teach Rust. Okay, so in the upcoming this in February or in March I'll be teaching Rust also, so you can also give me suggestions what I must teach after this playlist. Okay, so everything is done, you can get the source code, you just need to visit this and you know how to get here. Okay, and if you want to contact me, what you can do is you can just visit my GitHub profile, github.com/viraj014, and here you can just check out my social handles. You would find my Instagram or LinkedIn. Right now, let's continue. So what I'll do is I'll just open VS Code, and we were actually working on this folder, TypeScript codes, and this is what day 4, right? So I'm just going to create a folder named as day 4. Okay, so actually this is the 5th video, but I'm not counting the first video because first video was just introduction and installation. So second video was day 1 and like that. Okay, so this is day 4, that means 5th video, 5th session. So here guys, what we're gonna do is we will start from scratch and we're gonna write a new file, index.ts, right? Index.ts. Now guys, here, just give me a second. Okay, so the first thing which we're gonna learn today is we're gonna start with functions. Okay, so functions in TypeScript are basically similar to functions in JavaScript. You all know that what are functions in JavaScript, I hope, because it looks like function, and let's name it as my func1, and that's how a function looks like in JavaScript. Okay, and it does something, it returns something or it does something for us. So return some string xyz. So you can see this is a function, right? A function is just something which returns something. Okay, it's like that, it does some work for us, so that you don't need to write this code again and again. You can just call the function. Okay, that's what is the purpose. So it will like in JavaScript this is normal function, but in TypeScript we actually add types to the function. So it will be like giving us added benefits of static typing and allowing us to define types for parameters and return values of the functions. That means we'll define the return type and as well as the parameter type. What all these things would be covered here, and we have already covered functions before, but there are some more things which you must know before using functions in TypeScript. Okay, so let's try to build that. So first of all, I'm just going to remove this and let's create a fresh function. Okay, so if I want to create a function in TypeScript, what I'll do is let's say that first of all, function keyword same as JavaScript, then function name. So I'm just going to say greet. Okay, and this time I'm going to say that it's going to take a parameter, that is name. The type of this parameter, you have to define the type of this parameter. Okay, so just type of this parameter, and then what I'm gonna say is it would print something. Okay, it would print something. So suppose it's printing console.log, and suppose it's saying hello. uh, okay, I'm just going to write it with backticks. Okay, so backticks, and I'm just going to say hello, and whatever is the name provided would be given here. So in this case, what you are doing, you are just printing something, you are not returning anything. Returning anything means you are writing the return keyword and then you are returning something, that's returning. Okay, if you're not returning anything, what you're gonna do is you're simply going to write here colon sign and void, because you are not returning anything. Okay, if you're not returning anything, this function is not returning anything, right? That's why I'm writing void. But suppose if you are returning something, okay, if you're returning something, suppose what you're doing is instead of console log, you are returning uh, some string. Okay, suppose you are returning this is what a string, right? This is what a string, hello, and whatever is the name, this would be a string. So you are gonna return what? You are going to return a string. So colon, and then you just need to write string. So I'm returning a string, that's why I'm writing colon string at the end. That's how it actually works. Okay, suppose you have a few more parameters, you can provide few more parameters, like for example we have some second parameter, let's give it message. Okay, suppose second parameter name is message, and again it's a type of string. Okay, so hello name, and I'll just say message. Okay, like this. So you can see it would return the complete string, so that's why I'm returning a string. Okay, that's it. So now let's try to call this function. So let a equals uh, greet and inside this I would just say Harshal, and suppose the message is uh, hey there, this is me HA. Okay, suppose this is the message and this is the string, this is the name, this is the message, right? Now let's try to print this. So console.log a, so you can see I'm providing two strings to the function, so it's totally fine. You can see it requires two strings. Instead of the string, if I provide a number like 1, you can see it would throw an error. It would say that number is not be able to assign to this string. That's what it says. Okay, so that's what is the benefit of TypeScript. You can see, if you require string, you have to provide string here. You can't provide a number here. Okay, so it's very helpful, and it just throws the error right away. You don't need to run the complete code. It just throws the error as soon as you write this code. Okay, now let's try to run this. So for this, guys, what I'm just gonna do is just go to terminal, and here itself, let's write tsc no emit on error index.ts. Okay, so I've created index.ts file, and then I would just write node index.ts. Okay, so what's the problem here? You can see that we have one problem. Okay, we have one problem, that is we converted this into, okay, I think we did one mistake. Okay, I'm sorry. We have to write index.js. I'm sorry. So index.js. So you can see that this is working properly. Hello, Arshal. Hey there, this is me, Ajay. So you can see I'm getting both the message as a return, and I'm trying to print this. Okay. So this function basically returned this string, and I'm trying to print this. Suppose this function didn't return anything. Okay, if I talk about this TypeScript code, it's converted into JavaScript. You can see JavaScript looks plain, but in TypeScript you have to define these types, right? So here you can see that here we are sending this, but instead of this, now if I try to return void, but here you can see that we don't need return statement for void. We can directly do something. So I'm just directly trying to print this. Okay, I'll just directly print this. I'm not returning anything from this function. So you can see this works perfect. So when you are not returning anything, then you simply say void. Okay, void, that's it. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're simply going to just call this function, and whatever it prints, it would be printed directly. Okay, so now let's try to do this again. So this and index.js, so you can see hello Arshal is there, right? That's how it actually works, guys. So I hope you understood this. A little late today. I didn't did I miss so much? No, you didn't miss anything. We just started with the functions, and this is how you actually use functions. Now let's deep dive into this more. This was covered in the previous videos, and I've repeated it 2 3 times, I know, but yeah, there are some more things which you need to know now. But this was the first thing. Now the second thing is, in functions you can provide optional parameters, right? What are optional parameters? So right now you can see that in some cases, for example, you can see in this case we haven't used the message, but we have provided message here. Okay, we have provided message here. That means we have asked the message here. Suppose if I don't provide message here, okay, you can see it's saying that message is also required, but in some cases there are some optional parameters. That means if there is no use of this message, then it must not be mandatory, but if there is use of message, then it would be mandatory. So if I want to make it not mandatory, what I can do is I can simply just pass a question mark in all cases, and not just here. If you are just declaring a normal variable also in an inside an object, inside object we have key value pairs. We have already discussed that in last video. You just pass a question mark, and this would make this parameter optional. So now you can see, if you just provide Harshal, it's just the name, and message is avoided. That's it, message is avoided, right? That's how it actually works. Now here also you can just say that what you're trying to print. I'll just say that if name dot length greater than 0, and message dot length greater than 0. Let's try to work on this. Okay, just a second. uh, just a second. Yes, you can see I'm getting an error. First of all, message is possibly undefined. Okay, so what I'm gonna say is, if message exists and the length of message is greater than 0. Okay, so I'm saying that if name's length is greater than 0 and message length is greater than 0, and message must exist. Okay, if it's undefined, then we can't find the length. Okay, so if all these three parameters are there, then we are going to say print name and message. Else you can say just console log the name. That's it. Okay, just console log the name. So if message is not provided, then this would be the case. If message is provided, this would be the case. So now let's try to run this. So I think this must work perfectly. You can see it's saying hello Arshal, but suppose if I provide some message here, okay, so I'll just write some message. Okay, now in this case, you can see that I'm saying that if message is provided, then it must be a string. If it's not provided, then that's okay. Message is not mandatory. But if it's provided, it must be a string. So it's a string, it's a string, right? Now let's run this. And again, you can see some message. Okay, so it works perfectly. That's how you can provide optional parameter, because in cases like this, you need to provide optional parameter, right? That's what actually works. Okay. तबीयत ठीक नहीं है थोड़ी तबीयत तो वैसे है ख़राब, बट इतना इजीली सब जज कैसे कर रहे हैं अब। मुझे कल भी कई लोगों ने बोला कि आपकी तबीयत ख़राब लग रही है। इतनी ख़राब नहीं है, अभी ठीक है, लाइक थोड़ा सा गला वो हो गया था, आवाज़ नहीं निकल रही थी, बाकी सब सही है, बाकी हम ऑल सेट okay. So this was the second example, and here what we have done is we have used our question mark, that means optional parameter. This is optional, okay, not mandatory. If message is not provided to bhi chalega, but if message is provided, then it must be a string, okay. And also if message is provided, then this would be the case. If message is not provided, this would be the case. Totally fine, right? Now let's talk about the third parameter. That's the default parameter. So I'm saying that I'll just copy this. Actually, I'll just copy this part and I'll just comment this out. Now I'm going to talk about optional, and this was what? Optional parameters, right? This was optional parameter. Now we're going to talk about default parameter. What's default parameter? So I'm saying that message must be a string, but message is also mandatory. So I'm saying that the default value of message would be what? Uh, Suppose default value of message is something like this, okay, something like this, right? So if message is not provided, if message is not provided, let's see what happens. Okay, so you can see I've just provided a name. So if name is provided and message is not provided, since message is not provided, you would just directly get this. Okay, you would directly get this. That means I can just, now in this case we don't really need, because message would always be there, right? Message would always be there. If message was not provided, when we call the function, the value of message would be this fsfs, whatever it is. Okay, now let's try to run this, and again you can see that hello Arshal, and this is the message, default message. But suppose now if I give some message, okay, so suppose I'll just say, hey there, this is me HJ. Okay, now let's run this. So TSC and then this, you can see that now I'm getting this instead of the default value of the message. Okay, so this is what default parameter is, and this is what optional parameter is. Okay, I hope now you understood this. Now let's continue with the next example. So now we're going to learn about rest parameters. So rest parameter is just like you don't know how many parameters are going to come here, but you know that one will be a string, other will be a string, third would be also a string, like that. So in some cases, for example, you want to create a function which adds numbers. Not only two numbers, there can be three numbers, four numbers, five numbers. That means you want to create a function which actually gives you sum. Okay, so I'll just say function, and if you want to find the sum of two numbers, you would be passing two parameters. Okay, if you want to find the sum of three numbers, you will be passing three parameters. If you want to find the sum of four numbers, you will be passing four parameters. But the problem here is, if you want to find the sum of 1,000 numbers, would you be just increasing parameters? It's not like this. Okay, that's how not our mobiles work, our calculators work. Okay, so for that we actually need rest parameters. Okay, it's like you can give any number of parameters. So I'll just say, suppose we have a variable name. I'm just going to assume that its name is nums. Okay, nums. Okay, and the type of this is an array of numbers. Okay, so number and array of numbers. Okay, that's it. So I'm saying that I'm going to provide an array of numbers, and it would be of any number. Okay, it would be of any number, and the return type, what it's going to return, it's again going to return a sum is what? Number. Okay, it's just a number, right? So that's what I'm going to return. So I'll just say let sum equals actually, since we are providing an array, so we can directly reduce this. Okay, so I'll just return nums dot reduce, and inside this, guys, I would just say accumulator comma value. That's how you perform the reduce function, right? So accumulator comma value, and I think this is going to return accumulator plus value and then starting from 0. So it's just going to return the sum. This is one method, or the other method is just create a for loop and just return the sum. That's also a good method. So that's totally up to you. If you want to perform reduce, this is the reduce method available in JavaScript. So that's by default available in JavaScript, and what we are doing is we are just saying that starting from 0, the value will be added one by one. That means each value of this number would be added one by one. Okay, so it's like that. So I'm just going to increment the value, just add the index values one by one, so that total sum would be available at the end. Okay, so now let's try to work on this. So I'll just say, let's call this function. So let sum1 equals sum, and inside this, guys, so let's provide 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Okay, let's try to find this, and if I just write console log sum, let's see if it works. Okay, so I want to find the sum of these four numbers. So you can see I'm getting 10, so I think this is perfect. Yes, this is perfect. Now instead of this, suppose if I provide if I provide some more numbers, 2 3 4, you can see I'm providing this much amount of numbers. Okay, so you can see that now there is no limit of parameters. You can see now there is no limit of parameters, right? So I'm just going to say that it is going to return me the sum of these numbers. Okay, so that's what we call as rest parameters, right? I hope you understood this. क्या लिखा है आपने? फ्रीज़ा वाले पावर मेजरमेंट डिवाइसेस हैं हमारे पास, ड्रैगन बॉल्स। मैं बचपन में बहुत देखता था ड्रैगन बॉल जी, फेवरेट था अपना। उसमें ड्राइंग बहुत करते थे हम बचपन में। All right, so this was all about the rest parameters. Now we're going to talk about the next, that is arrow functions. Okay, so this was the normal function. That's how you write normal function. Similarly, we have arrow functions in JavaScript, right? So let's talk about the arrow functions just for a few minutes, so then we can finish the functions part. Everything is same. It's just right way of writing. So I'll just say, suppose we have a multiply function equals, and then what you need to do is you just need to write it like this. So brackets, and then there would be number x and number y, and you are going to return what? You're going to return x into y. That's what is an arrow function, right? Very easy to write. So you're returning x into y. Okay, this simply means what? X into y here simply means what? If I write it like this, return x into y, that's also same. Okay, so if you write it like this, or if you just write it like this, if you have only one line, then you can directly write it like this, right? That's why I've written it like this. Okay, so now here you can see I'm returning x into y, but let me just write it. Okay, write it like this. Okay, anyways, so here how you can write the type. So I'm just going to say the type of x is number. Okay, and the type of y is also what? A number, right? And the return type is what? So return type is going to be again a number. Okay, so I'm just going to say that the return type I want is a number, so I'll just write a colon and return type is number. That's it. That's how it actually works. I'm saying x and y number, and return type is also number, and you are just returning something. Okay, so now let's try to run this, then you would see that that's how arrow functions work. So they look cleaner. You can see they look cleaner than the normal function. That's why arrow functions are used, and rest everything is same between functions and arrow functions. Okay, so let's try this, and you can see I'm getting 6. So you can see it's perfect, and that's how it actually runs. Okay, now similarly you can perform more things. Whatever operation you want to perform, you can easily perform this. That's how functions work, and similar working on the arrow function. All the topics are easily working on the arrow functions also. Okay, now we'll talk about function overloading. So what's function overloading? Overloading, it's like you can define same function with same name but with different parameters. Okay, that's what function overloading is. So let's define that. So here I'll just say function. Suppose we have a function. uh, we have a function and let's say its name is display. Okay, display. And I'm just going to say that it's taking a value. Suppose if the value is number, so the return type of this is void. Okay, and similarly I'm going to assume that we have one more function whose return time is void again, and we have one more function whose return type is something else. Okay, whose return type is again void. Okay, so now in this case guys, I'm just going to return something here. Okay, just a second, I did one mistake. uh, this is not the actual way, just a second. What have I done here is I've simply said that the function is going to display something. Okay, so display, and it's returning. Okay, I think this is fine. Now it's returning void. Okay, it's just returning void, and there is some issue here. Function is missing and not immediately. Okay, this is fine. And now similarly we are gonna copy this, and next time it can be a string. Okay, returning void, and the third time it can be boolean. Okay, actually I'm going to cut this and I'm just going to add string after this, and here I'm just going to return something. Okay, I'm just going to return something. So I think there is one mistake which I did here. I have asked for a value that is number. Okay, and I'm returning void, and I'm returning void, I'm returning void. Okay, let's take another example. Okay, let's skip this one. I'm gonna write with another example. I think I'm mistaking something. So let's say we have one example. Let's write it as combine a string. Okay, and then I'm just gonna say we have one more parameter b as string. Okay, now this time this function would do one simple thing, that is I'm going to return something. Okay, I'm going to return something. So let's try to return something. We are going to return a string in this case. We are going to return a string in this case, and then we are going to return number in this case. Okay, then we are going to return, then we are going to say that function is called, and suppose now I'm going to say combine, and inside this if I say a as any, if a is any and b is any. Okay, b is any, and then I'm going to return any. Okay, now you can see it's perfect. So I'm saying that if something, if a is string and b is string, then return string, always return string. If b is number, a is number, b is number, then always return number. So in this case I'm returning any. That means here if I write that if type of a equals number and type of b is number, then I'm going to return a plus b. Okay, else if type of a is string and b is string, then I'm going to return again some I'm going to concatenate these two strings. Okay, else I would just throw error. Parameters must be of type number or string. Okay, now let's try to run this. Let's see how it actually works. So now I'm going to say just console log combine 2 and 3. Suppose let's try to combine 2 and 3, and you would see that automatically the sum would be easily given. That means this function would be called, and automatically you would return the sum. Okay, you would return the sum. Suppose if I don't have this, okay, now you would see I'm getting the error. Why am I getting the error? Because the return type here is any, but it's getting confused. Combine is getting confused what to return. That's why we have to define the return types also. Okay, so now let's try to run this. Okay, so I'm just going to say that this time if I now say, you can see I'm getting 5. So first of all, this is called First of all, this is called, because we are trying to find the sum of two numbers, we have provided two numbers. First of all, this is called a is a number and b is a number, so the return type must be a number. Then after that, it would look for the further implementation of the function, so it would look here, it would go here. Now here, this function knows that I have to return a number and I have the parameters, so this any actually becomes number, 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 and then at that time I'm just going to return a plus b. But suppose this wasn't existing here, then you would get an error, because this function implementation can't be done because it doesn't know the return type. Okay, so I hope you understood this. Now we're going to continue with the remaining parts of functions. This is what function overloading, right? So now after this, we have some more examples of different things, that is type alias. Okay, so type alias and type interface. Okay, so I'm just going to comment this out. Now we are going to discuss two important things, which is type alias and type interface. So type alias, alias, aliases, okay, and type interface. So they actually look similar, and their usage is a little bit different, but they are exact same. Okay, they are exact same. So you can say that if I talk about type alias, what you can say is, if you can define your custom data type, like you know that a string is like a sequence of characters of alphabets. So you can create your custom data type. Like for example, if I name my custom data type as age, like you have data type name as number, string, boolean. Similarly, you have data type name here as age. Okay, so I've created my custom data type. I'm just going to say that this custom data type would always be a number. That's it. Okay, so this is my custom data type. This would help me. Type alias would actually help me to create or the create name for any type. You can create your custom data type. That's what we have created. Okay, now if I want to use this, suppose for example, if I just say let age one age 1 equals suppose is going to provide a string here. In this case, this is fine. But if I provide the type of this here directly, okay, if I provide the type, that means it must be following type like this. So you can see that this is showing me an error, string is not assignable to number, so this would throw an error. Okay, so you can create your custom data type. That's what type alias is. That's it. Okay, so it's just like type interface, or you can use it as type annotation. But in type annotation, you have some fixed values like string, number, and boolean. But in type alias, you can create your own custom data type, and then you can give that name here. Okay, I hope you understood this. So you can instead directly write number here also, but if you want to create your own custom data type like this, then also you can do that by using type alias. That's it. So we have used type alias, custom data type, right? So now if I try to print the value of age 1, you would get your age very easily. Okay, so that's what type alias is, creating custom data type and using it. Okay, so this is fine till here, but you can also use it just like type interface. So remember, when we have a type interface, so I'll just create an interface, and suppose I'll just write point, and I've just given this name as point. Okay, so here if I just say that x is a number and y is a number, that's how you create interface, right? That's how you create interface. You have created the interface. Now if I want to use this interface somewhere, so I'll just say let uh, p1, and it's taking reference from the point interface, and you're just going to provide x and y values. You can see that's how it works. That's what we did in last video, type interface, right? So this is fine, but instead of interface, you can also use type alias also. The use is exact same, but obviously for objects like this, we always use interface, we don't use type alias. But still, I'll tell you how to create type alias for this case. So I'm just going to create point. Okay, point, and it's just like, instead of these semicolons, you actually use the comma signs. You can actually use, okay, I'm sorry, you just use the semicolons. Okay, you just use the semicolons, that's fine. Okay, so you can see that they look exactly same, and they are exactly same, just the usage is different. This type is mostly used in creating custom data types like this. Type alias is mostly used in creating custom data types, and type interface is mostly used with these kind of objects. Okay, that's the difference. Rest they might look similar, and the usage is also similar, right? So now I think it is understood. Now let's talk about a few more things, that is union types and the intersection types. How to find the union and intersection of these data types. Okay, let's come here. and I'm going to say that if I talk about the union type, okay, so I'll just write union here, union. Okay, so it's like let, I can say that my age can be of data type number, or my age can be of data type string. Okay, so here if I just provide 30, that is a number, that's totally fine, that's totally fine, although I'm not 30. So you can see that's totally fine, this is a number. Instead of this, if I provide a string, that's also fine. Okay, but if I remove this string, you can see that's not fine, it's only accepting a number. So if you want to make it accept a string also, either a number or a string, then in this case you need to write this union data type. This is what union, this is what union. Okay, that's it. Now instead of this, if you provide boolean true value, okay, true, so you can see that's something which is not allowed, that's something which is not allowed. Okay, that's what union data type is used for. So either number or a string, right? Now after this, guys, if I suppose in future, if I want to change the value of this age equals to a number, you can see it's easily done, you can see it's easily done because I'm allowing a number to be changed. But suppose if I say that age equals true, can see boolean is not allowed, boolean is not allowed, that's why you're not able to change this. Okay, so that's what union is used for. You can give multiple data types in a single line. Okay, union, right? So now after this, guys, we have a similar data type, that is intersection. But intersection is used for some other purpose. It's like and symbol, and symbol, that means both statements are valid. In this case, either this or this, and symbol means both statements are valid. Okay, I think in childhood we learned set theories, right? So there we had union and intersection. Okay, so intersection is like both statements must be true. So I'll just write logic for intersection, and here, guys, I would just say that intersection is just like, suppose you have one alias type. Okay, so I'll just say we have one alias type person equals, and let's say we have a name string. Okay, now similarly we're gonna have one more type, that is employee. Okay, so I'm just saying that employee would be having some employee ID, right? So you have two different alias, right? Now if I want to create the third alias, I can easily do this by just intersection, then by intersecting them. That means this statement must also be there, and this statement now must also be there inside this third type alias. Okay, so that's what and is for. Now if I try to do the similar thing in type interface, this is what type alias. Now if I try to do this in interface, let's try to do this. So if I try to do this in interface, and interface person, and if I try to do this, so I'll just say name as string, and employee as employee ID. Now if I try to write it as interface person employee equals person and employee, so you can see I can't do this, I can't do this. Okay, so if I want to join both of them, what I can do is I can actually use extends. Okay, so I can use extends. Okay, I can use extends in this case. So that's how you can do this, but this is not coming inside the intersection. We are talking about intersection. Intersection is only possible in type alias, in only type alias. It's not possible in type interface. That's it. Okay, so that's why we use intersection and union always in type alias. Okay, so just remember this. So that's why I taught you type alias today. Okay, so now we know that this is type alias, and let's uncomment this. And now if I want to just create some objects, so I'll just say, for example, let employee, suppose let's give this data type as person. Okay, I'm just giving this as person. So let's say we provided a name, and name would be employee1. Okay, so you can see what actually happened here is it's saying that cannot, did you mean person? Okay, it's actually person, right? So you can see person. Okay, so you can see this is totally perfect. But instead, if I provide an employee, what it would say, the name field doesn't exist in an employee. So suppose if I provide employee ID, and employee ID is 123, you can see it must be a number, so 123. You can see this is also fine. But now instead, if I provide the data type as person employee, so it requires employee ID, as well as it would say that employee ID number is not assignable to this because name is missing, so you need to provide name also. So you just say that name is equal to this. So you can see that's how you can just intersect between them. Okay, that's how it actually works, right? So that's it. And now suppose instead of this, what you can do is this is what intersection, okay, this is what intersection, right? We have to use the and sign. Suppose instead of this we use union, what would happen? Suppose if I just skip one field, that's fine, that's fine, okay. So union means either the fields of this either the fields of this alias or the fields of this alias must be there, okay. At least one alias fields must be there. Suppose if I provide both the fields, so if I say name as Harshal or like this, you can see that is also okay. If both of the fields are there, that's also okay. If any one field is there, that's also okay. If both of the fields are missing, you can see that's not okay, okay. So any one must be at least there, okay. That's how it actually works. That's what union and interface is, okay. Explain type interface once more. Okay, so I have already done this, but let me just explain this once more. Okay, so let's talk about type alias and type interface once again. Okay, let's talk about this once again. So I'm just going to just write it here. So here you can see, let's talk about type alias. Okay, type alias. So type alias and type interface are nearly same. Okay, they are not different. It's just the usage of them is different. Okay, so I'll just say that if I want to create a type alias, okay, if I want to create a type alias for a function, I would just create it like this. Okay, I would just create it like this, name and like this. So you can see I've created it. Okay, just a second. Okay, I think yes. Let me just comment this out. Okay, now you can see I've created a type alias for person. Okay, so I've just created a name as person, and inside this we have two fields. So suppose this is an object. Later on we will be creating objects, so we'll be taking reference from this. In the previous video we learned about type interface, right? This is what? This is type alias. This is type alias. Okay, so let's write here what? Alias. Okay, this is alias. Now if you want to create a type interface, what you would do is you would just write interface and then the name, whatever name you want for this interface, and then the same fields, name and age. Okay, exactly same. There's no difference. It's just the change in the name of keyword. Okay, that's it. But how they are different? How they are different? If I want union and intersection, so union and intersection is only possible inside this alias. Union and intersection is not possible inside this. We have separate methods for interface. But if you want to perform union and intersection like and symbol like the single line, that case is possible only in alias. Okay, that's the basic difference. As you can see, they look similar. Okay, they look similar, right? भाई एडमिन वाला ऐप थोड़ा अपडेट कर दो ओके ओके I'll update it once I get time. I'll update that. Why we are using type keyword instead of interface keyword? I don't get it here because union and intersection is not possible inside interface. That's why we are using it. I hope you are getting this. Union and intersection is only possible inside the alias, type alias. Okay, if you want to perform union and intersection inside interface, we have separate methods, but we can't use the and or symbol, that is the proper union and intersection symbols inside interface. That's why we have type aliases. Okay, and you can search about it. That's the one basic difference between interface and alias. In interface you can't perform union and intersection. You have to use keywords like extends and like this, which is I think it's a little bit bigger. If I talk about just type alias, you can see we defined two aliases here and we performed union here. Instead of the union, suppose if you perform intersection, that's also possible, but it's only possible in alias. Okay, it's possible in alias, not in interface, right? Now let's continue. And we have covered alias and interface, and we have also covered union and intersection. Now guys, we are going to talk about generics in TypeScript. Very important topic, and this is something which you must always know because you would see it in a lot of project which you would create in nextjs or projects using TypeScript. You would see this, and this is very horrifying. Like it's like you would see that भाई पता नहीं क्या हो गया क्या देख लिया. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about generics. Generics is just like a blueprint for functions. Okay, so for example, I am saying that if I give you a number, you will give me a number. If I give you a string, you will give me a string. If I give you x, you would give me x. Okay, if I give you a, you would give me a. That means giving and returning is same. Okay, returning is same. That means you are just referencing to something which I give and you would return. They are exactly same. So I'm going to assume that if I give you t, you would return me t, t for like alphabetical t, right? So if I give you t, you would give me t. Okay, so in that case I can create a generic function. That means if I want the sum of two numbers, you would return me a number. Two numbers would be number, you are returning a number. If I want the multiplication of two numbers, so two numbers and multiplication of two numbers would be a number. So you can see that the argument type and the return type are same. Okay, are same. So we are going to say that let's create a normal function. So it's a generic function, so I'm just going to write here generic. This is, by the way, not a function which you would be using somewhere. This is like a blueprint. It's like a blueprint. So you'd be calling this inside other functions, okay, for other functions. Okay, so I'll just say function, and let's say that its name is identity, right? Identity. And here I'm just going to say that let's take a reference variable as t is something. Okay, you can write some other name here. Okay, so you can write some other alphabet here, doesn't matter, but yeah, generally you would find alphabet t here. That's it. Okay, so t, I'm saying that we have some reference variable, reference data type t. So I'm just going to say my argument which I provide to this function, okay, is of data type t. Assume that t is a number. Assume that t is a number. Then what I want to return? I want to return t. That means I want to return a number. I want to return a number. Okay, so that's it. So I'm just going to say return arg. That's it. Okay, so this is what a blueprint of a function. This is not a function. This is a blueprint of a function. So if I want to use this, where I can use this, I'll just say let result res1 equals, and here I can just write identity. I'll just call this, and then if I just provide it a number, okay, if I provided a number, so you can see if I provided 10, if I provided 10, that is a number, what it would return? It would return me 10. Okay, it would return me 10. It would return me same thing which I provided. If I provided t, it would provide me t. That means data type. I'm talking about data type. It could have returned me, suppose for example, arg plus arg. That simply means, okay, it's like it would return me something which is exactly of same data type. Okay, for example, I'll just say that now let's try to print this. Okay, let's try to print this. So console.log res1. Okay, console.log res1, right? So now let's try to print this. So tsc and index.js. So you can see I'm getting 10. Now instead of this, suppose if I provide a string, so what it would return? It would return me string. Okay, so now you don't need to change data type again and again. You have just said that if there is some data type, the arguments as well as the return type are exactly same. Okay, so now let's try to run this, and this time you would get hey. Okay, that's what a generic is. That means if you're providing a string, you would get a string. If you provide a number, you're getting a number. Now let's make it more complex. So what we're gonna do is we are going to find the sum of two numbers. Okay, let's try to find the sum of two numbers. So let's do this. So if I just comment this, and let's create a function to find the sum. Okay, and let's say we have a very type data type t. Let's say we have arg1 and argument 2, and the return type is what? T. Okay, and here if I just want to return some response, okay, if I want to return something, so I'll just say let res equals r1 plus r2, and then if I just try to return this, so you can see right now it's causing me problem, cannot be applied to data types using this. Okay, I think yes, we have some other logic for this. So if you want to perform, like you can see, if you have two parameters, then what you need to do, then in that case there is some separate method. What we can do is, okay, let me just write this again. Here we need to add one flag. Okay, we need to add one flag. Like some can be performed in string case, okay, like that in some cases. So I would just say that if type of arg1 is equal to a number, and in that case I'm going to return a sum. Okay, in that case I'm going to return a sum as t. Okay, that's it. Okay, so this is for like if this is the type, else I can just throw an error. Okay, that's it. So you can see for the case of number and number, then only I would just provide this. In else case, else if case, okay, else if case, again you can do something else. Okay, so suppose if you have two strings, in that case also you can do something else. So I'm just saying that the return type would always be t. Okay, so you just need to write as t. I think we can skip this also, like if I have written directly like this, that would also be fine. So return argument 1 plus argument 2 as t. So this is also fine, but the problem here is if both of them are different. Okay, if both of them are different, then in some cases, like in boolean cases or in other cases, this is not possible. That's why we actually perform this kind of operation. Okay, so like because some is only possible in some data types only, that if number and number, or in string and string, then only addition is like this is what concatenation, this is what addition, only possible in these two cases. After that you would throw an error. Okay, that's why we need to write it this way, right? So this is just like a generic data type which you would be using in some cases. It's like if I try to now run this, so console.log, if I want to find the sum of two numbers, I can easily do this. Suppose if I write a string instead, so console.log and string, and suppose if I just write a string, hey there, right? So this is also fine. So let's try to run this. If I run this, you can see that I am getting this. That means this is working. Now let's try to do this for boolean. Let's see if it works. So console dot, okay, let's try to do this for a number and a string. So you can see, first of all, this is not possible. Let's do this for boolean. Okay, so boolean, that would be better. So suppose if I provide true, and also you are providing false, means you're providing boolean values. Let's try to run this. What do we get here? So you can see that I'm getting an error. Okay, why am I getting an error? Because sum is not possible in boolean, so this would be skipped, this would be skipped, and this would be the result. Okay, that's how it actually works. So you can use this for different purposes. When you want to return same kind of things, in that case you actually use generic functions. That's it. And obviously this is just some general case. There are some more complex types. Let's understand how we can make it more complex. Okay, for example, we have an array. Okay, so if we have an array, let's try to do this with an array. uh, okay, so let's create a function to reverse an array. Okay, so I'll just comment this out. Right, I've commented this out. Now let's try to reverse an array using generics. Okay, so I'll just reverse an array. Right, and here let's create a function reverse array. Okay, so this is a generic function again, so just t, and then we are going to provide array. This is name. Okay, so I'll just say my array, that would be better. My array, this would be the parameter, and the type of this would be t. That means either a string array, either a number array, either a boolean array, whatever it is, right? And what I'm gonna say is that this array would be returning what? It would be returning t. Okay, it would be returning t. That means it would be returning same data type. If the array was string previously, that means array of numbers would be there. Suppose numbers 1 2 3 4. I want to get the reverse. That means 4 3 2 1. It's still an array of numbers, right? The data type hasn't changed. That's what I have said here. That means return type is also array of numbers. Okay, now I want to reverse this. So I'll just say return my array dot reverse. That's it. Okay, so I'm just saying if array of string is provided, reverse string will be provided. Okay, if array of numbers is provided, reverse array of numbers would be provided. Okay, so exactly same. So that's how you can perform this with your arrays also. Okay, so now if you want to run this, you can just say that I would just call it like this, and let's try to print this. That's it. So you're saying that you're providing an array of data type number. That means your array Here you can see this is not an array, this is the data type, this is the data type, okay, this is the data type, it's not the array, it's the data type. You can see later on I've said that data types array, that means numbers array, similarly numbers array, okay. So you just need to provide the data type. Later on everything would be handled by your generic function, okay. Now let's try to run this and you would get the reverse. That's it, you can get the reverse, okay. So this is one more purpose of generic function, that means what you send you'll get that, okay. That's what generic is. If you want to get the same data type and you are not sure what is your data type, you don't need any fixed data type, okay. So you can give any data type and you would return that data type, right. That's what generic is. Now one more thing is you can use generics in pairs. So let's try to use generic in pairs. So I'll just say that we have a function, okay, we have function, and suppose my function name is make pair, okay, suppose my function name is make pair, and I would say that it has two, this time now two data types, they can be same or different, okay, it doesn't matter, they can be same or different, but this time I have two data types, okay. I'm going to say that first data type is t, and second data type is u. That means two parameters, first and second. These are two variables, and the data type of first variable is 1 and t. Second variable is u. Okay, that's it. Okay, and now I want to return what? T comma u. Suppose I want to return t comma u. That means I would return an array of these two. Okay, I would return an array of these two. Okay, so you can just provide two data types also like this. So I'm just saying that I'm providing t and u. So instead, if I provide second comma first, so you can see there is an issue because you are providing u comma t and this is expecting t comma u. So in this case what you have to do is you have to write u comma t. That's it. Okay, that's how it actually works. You can provide two data types. Now do whatever you want with this, right? Now let's continue with some more example of generic function. I think we've covered this and we need to cover one more thing, that is length. Okay, length. Okay, so for that what we can do is, suppose if you want to find the length of some string, this is a common example which you would see always. So for example, we have a function whose name is get length, get length, and inside this if I first of all say we have a generic type t, name as t. So if I provide some value and it's an array, okay, it's an array, that means it must be a string or like something like that, so that you can easily find the length, string or an array. Only those two cases would allow you to get the length, okay, right. You can find the length of a string or you can find the length of an array. So here what you are returning, the length would always be a number, so you are returning a number, okay, you are returning a number, that's it. So suppose if you are returning the length, you can see that's how you can return the length. Okay, now I would just say that let ar1 equals this. So suppose if I just call this, and suppose we have another array also, so if I just suppose call this, you can see I would return what, I would return 5 here, okay. Suppose if I just call this for second one, so I would return 2 here, okay. So suppose if I have the third one, let ar3 equals java, okay, java script, okay. Now let's try to do this for array3. Will it be done or not? So you can see it can't be done, so you have to provide an array only, okay, you have to provide an array only, that's it, right. So that's how it actually works. And I think okay, we did one mistake actually, guys. There's one issue. You're saying string is not assignable to string array. Okay, just a second. We are saying that provide t and that's it. And now we are actually saying that we are providing a variable, but this time it's not able to send this. Why it's not able to send this? I don't provide the data type here. Just a second, guys. Okay, let me just rewrite this function. I think I made one mistake. So first of all, I'm saying that this function name is get length, and this is what, this is value t. Okay, suppose you can just change this anything. So I'm returning what, I'm returning length. Okay, I'm returning length, that's it. So I'm accepting a value which is an array, okay, which is an array, and I'm returning this, I'm returning this. right? So now let's say that if you want to find the length of this, okay, if you want to find the length of this, will you get it or not? So let's try to find the length. So if I write console.log array length, this time now I'm not writing the data type, automatically it's judged. Now let's try to run this. So you can see that I'm getting the length. Now instead of this, suppose if I write this, okay, string length, okay, suppose I want to find the length of the string. So you can see that this is actually not allowed, okay, you can only find the length like this, okay, length of an array, okay, this is not allowed, right? So this is for finding the length of an array, and you can find the length of an array like this. Okay, so guys, I hope you understood this, and now we can also use the generics in the OOPS also. So we are going to use this in the upcoming videos, but let me just give you a short example how you can use generics in classes. Okay, in classes. So for that, what you can do is you can define your JavaScript class, and this is going to be complicated, but still let me just tell you. So it's like you have a class, suppose you have a class of box, okay, you have a class of box, and the data type of this, suppose you provide it as t. So you're just going to say your private value would be of data type t. Suppose this is a variable named as value, and its data type would be t. That's it. Okay, now you're just going to say that we have a constructor, and you're going to give this some give this value as an input. Okay, so value and t, you're going to just call this whenever you call the class, we initialize the class, you are going to call this constructor, right? We call constructor when we initialize the class, and whenever we provide this constructor some value, this value would be set to your class. So this dot value, I'm just saying this dot value equals value. That means I'm saying this value, this value, this value would be set to some external value which you provide to this constructor. That's it. This is external value, this is external value, and this is what, this is, I'm talking about my private variable. That's how you set values to the private variable, right? So I've just given the class of this, okay, and also the data type. You can see this is the data type, this is the data type. Now t is what, t can be string, can be number, and whatever you want. It's like that. Now similarly, if you have methods, get value, suppose we have a get value method. So get value, and inside this also you want to provide a data type. So right now you don't know whether it would be a string or a number, but you are saying that whatever this class is made up of, I want the exact same data type. So if you are trying to return this, so you'll just say return t this dot value. That's it. Okay, you are returning this dot value. That's it. Okay, so exact same data type is returned, right? So now let's try to call this class. So I'll just say let number box. Okay, let's say that this box is having number data type, so number box equals, and I'm just going to say new. So if you want to give value to the constructor, you just write new box number and 10. So 10 would be sent as a value to this constructor, and then 10 would be set here, 10 would be sent set here. Okay, and now when you want to get the value, you can easily get the value. So if you want to get the value, so you can just write console.log number box dot get value, because this is returning, so you have to print after that. Okay, I'm printing after that whatever value this is returning. Let's try to run this. So you can see I'm sending a number, and I am saving a number, and I am printing a number. So you can see it's perfect, it's perfect, right? That's how it actually works. That's how these data types works, right? Now if you understood this, and that's how you can use the generics in classes also. If you provide a string, suppose if I provide a string, let string box, okay, and suppose you provide a string like this, okay, so what you would see is you would return what, you would return what, obviously you are going to return a string. That's it, you're going to return a string. That's it. So that's how you set random data type, whatever you want, you can provide your data type, and according to that value would be set. Okay, that's what generic is. That's how we can use generics. Right, now we have one more thing, that is constraints in generics. So constraint is like in generic function we have constraints, like we have some length properties. Okay, we have some length properties. So for example, I'm just going to say that my constraint must have one property, that is length property. That means if I provide a number that is 5, number can't have length, but a string can have length. Okay, so constraint is like some extra properties. So generic function, like we can apply constraints to specify generic types, some specific properties, because you can say that strings have some properties, like string can be concatenated, string have some length. Okay, so constraint simply means providing extra properties. That means they must satisfy extra properties. For example, if I write function, and then suppose I have a function whose name is print length, Okay, and inside this I'm just saying that this function would have a type t, and it must also have property of length. Okay, so its length must be number. Okay, so whatever length it returns must be number, so length must be always a number, then only it's accepted, t is accepted. Okay, that's what I'm saying. That means here, now you're going to provide your parameter, whatever is your value, whatever is your value, you are going to provide this. I'm just saying that this function is going to return nothing, so just void, and then I'm just going to print it console.log, and I want to print the value. Okay, print the length, I'm sorry, print the length. So I'm just saying that its length must be a number. That's what I've said, length must be a number. That's what I've said. Okay, so now let's try to say that print length, and here if I provide hello. Okay, if I provide hello, let's try to run this. I think this would run. So you can see I'm getting 5, but instead of this, suppose if I provide a number, if I provide a number like 6, so you can see this is not allowed, because I am saying that number is not assignable to parameter length number. Because if you try to find the length of a number, you can't get a number, right? You can't get a number. That's the problem. Okay, okay, suppose instead of this, if I provide something else, if I provide 1 comma 2 comma 3, what would happen? So you can see this is accepted, because an array is what? An array is something whose length is a number. Okay, this is also allowed. So in this case, string and arrays both are accepted. In the previous case, I think above we discussed some case where only array was accepted, string length was not accepted, but in this case you can see both are accepted. Okay, so that's very beneficial, and you can see that's how you can use generics. That means this property must be satisfied, then only the data type would be accepted and move further. Okay, so guys, I hope you understood the generics, and we also discussed about functions, type interface, type alias, and we also discussed about unions and intersections, right? So let's, what are we gonna do in the next lecture? So in the next lecture we are gonna start with oops. Okay, so we are gonna complete the oops concept. That's the last video. After that we're gonna start with nextjs. Okay, so with nextjs you can build front-end projects. So we're gonna start with nextjs. We're gonna use we're gonna learn about separate topics in nextjs. Let me just mention that. Okay, let me just mention that. Okay, just a second. So I'll just tell you all the topics which we are going to cover in Next.js. But yeah, before that you must know React.js, because Next.js is not taught from scratch. First you must know React.js, then after that you learn Next.js. Okay, so Next.js is a combination of React.js plus TypeScript. Okay, so that's why. So in Next.js we are going to first of all start with the basics, then we are going to start with the like routing methods which we have inside Next.js, then we have navigation and layouts inside Next.js, then we have Redux integration in Next.js, right? Then after that, guys, the Next.js part would be completed, because there isn't much in Next.js. It's just like usage of TypeScript along with React.js and some features of Next.js. That's how you use Next.js, right? So after that we're gonna build some projects. That is, Next.js would be taking how many videos? So if I start from the next video, that means next video would be oops in TypeScript. After that we're gonna start Next.js. So 1 2 3 4 videos would be of Next.js. Okay, that means 1 would be the next video, and the next 4 video, that means total 5 videos would be are remaining for the theory part. Then after that we are going to start with the project. So after 5 videos, 1 for TypeScript, 4 for Next.js. After that, sixth video, we are going to start with the project. So we are going to start with to-do list application using Next.js and TypeScript. Then we are going to build one more project, that is shopping cart using Next.js and TypeScript. Then after that, we're going to build a full stack project, that is a file sharing application, and that application would be built in 6 days. Okay, that would take 6 classes. Okay, so I'll just upload the source code, then we can end this session. So let's open this with VS Code, and I'll just open this, update this. Okay, so git add dot git commit m day 5 and git push. Okay, that's it. So guys, I have uploaded the source code on GitHub. You can just visit my GitHub profile. Let me just share that. What you need to do is you just need to type github.com/viraj014 in your browsers. You just need to type this github.com/viraj014. You can follow me here, and my social media handles are actually available here. You can follow me here also. Now in the repositories you would find TypeScript Next.js GFG repository. If you don't find this, you can search the name here and you would get the complete source code for today and all the previous classes and all the upcoming classes. All of that would be available here, right? So that's it for today, and I think all of your doubts are clear. Please set some prerequisites that help us understand the lessons for Next.js. It's like you need to know at least the basics of React.js. You need to know how to uh, okay, let me just draw something on whiteboard, so I'll just explain that. Also, I'll be taking an introductory session on Next.js. In that also I'll explain that, but in short, I'm going to explain this right now. So I'm going to explain some important topics which are needed. Okay, that means just name of those topics. Okay, I'll just write those. But yeah, if you know complete React.js, that would be the best thing. But at least these things you must know. Okay, I'll just write the names here. It's taking time, just a second. Anyways, so I'll just right click and create a new txt file, and here itself I'll explain what are the prerequisites of that. Okay, prerequisites of that. So let's write it here only. I'll just explain here only what are the prerequisites. So the first prerequisite is what? First of all, you know JavaScript, complete JavaScript. Okay, complete JavaScript. I'm talking about Next.js, prerequisites of Next.js. Complete JavaScript is important. Then after that, if you are starting with React.js, what you must know in React.js, you need to know hooks in React.js. Then you need to know about components in React.js. Then you need to know about routing in React.js. Okay, so routing in React.js. Then you need to know about navigation in React.js. Okay, at least these topics are really important. And I think yes, one more is if you know how to integrate API usage. Okay, like how to use APIs in your components and websites. That's it, and that's what is needed to be at least some good level in React.js. So please learn that, and then after that you can start with Next.js. So it would start from the uh, day after next video. So next video would be of oops in TypeScript. Then after that we're gonna start with Next.js. Okay, so guys, that's it for today. I hope you understood this video. I will see you in the next one. Till then, sir, good day. Bye bye.